So we've all been there grabbing a glass of wine or a beer or something like that at the end of a long day to relieve our stress. How did we get here? Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I want to talk a little bit about alcohol and how we use alcohol in relation to stress. So we've all been there grabbing a glass of wine or a beer or something like that at the end of a long day to relieve our stress. How did we get here? This mommy wine culture has been around for as long as I've been a parent, which is almost 8 years now. This idea that mom can't get through the day without her big glass of wine, or that she needs that 5 o'clock wine, counting down the minutes till that 5 o'clock wine or 5 o'clock can come so she can enjoy her glass of wine and finally de-stress from her kids. I cannot tell you how much I hate this messaging. It makes it seem like you're not a good parent if you're not drinking. It makes it seem like drinking is the only way you can get through the day. It makes it seem like drinking is the best way that you can unwind and de-stress at the end of the day. And none of that is true. I am not anti-alcohol, although that may be hard to believe after this video, but I'm not. I will have a drink with a friend once in a while. I'm not a big drinker, and I'm not a big drinker for a few reasons. So age is one of them. I definitely drank more when I was younger than I do now. I just think as we age, most people, I'd say that, your 20s is probably a time where you're drinking more than most. Um, I've watched how people drink, why people drink, and when people drink for a while now. And the more I observe people's habits around alcohol, the less I want to use it myself. And the third reason that I don't really drink that often is the nutritional side of things. Alcohol is really not that beneficial nutritionally or metabolically for us. Sometimes people will argue with me and they'll say, well, I get antioxidants when I have a glass of wine. Yes, to some degree, but drinking wine for the antioxidants is a little bit like going swimming to increase your water intake. So are you going to be exposed to more water? Yep. Are there better ways to probably increase your water intake? Also, yes. There's a lot of ways to increase your antioxidants. A really good diet is going to give you a ton of antioxidants. Wine is not a necessary source of antioxidants, I'll say. The other analogy I often use, and this is a really far-fetched scenario, but I think it's kind of interesting when we think about the nutritional benefits of wine. So let's say that you're stranded in the desert for like 3 or 4 days and you have enough water, but you have no food. You come out of the desert and you have two options presented to you. You're starving, you haven't eaten. You either have a Big Mac from McDonald's or a glass of wine. Which one do you choose? I'm going for the Big Mac. And the reason for that is I am not a fan of McDonald's. McDonald's food is not great quality. However, after 3 days in the desert, a Big Mac is going to give me some protein, some fat, and some carbs. Not the healthiest version of any of those, don't get me wrong, but I'm at least going to get some fuel for my body to recover from my 3-day starvation. As opposed to the glass of wine, which is going to get me almost nowhere. There are a few calories in that will burn off really quickly. Wine really doesn't have any nutritional benefit. So why do we drink it? Most people reach for wine sometimes because they enjoy it, often because they use it as a way to distress. They find that it helps relieve their stress. So when we drink, what alcohol does is it kind of numbs our brain. And so it doesn't actually de-stress or take away your stress. It takes away your perception of the stress. But the stress is still there. Stress hormones that are going through your body are still doing that. Your muscles are still feeling them, your blood pressure is still up, your heart rate's still up, your blood sugar is still all over the place because of the stress hormones. And the alcohol is also going to kind of throw your blood sugar out of whack. So the stress responses are still there. It's just that we don't notice them as much because we've kind of numbed ourselves out. We are not a society that has been taught how to deal with stress at all. We see stress as something that we don't really want to think about. Stress often comes with a lot of emotion. Stress is usually associated with like anger or sadness or frustration or despair. And all of those emotions for us as a society are scary. We don't like watching people experience emotion. We don't like experiencing emotion ourselves. We don't like showing our emotions. And so numbing ourselves out and shutting those emotional responses off is one of the ways that we have to deal with stress. And I'm going to argue it's not the best way. So how can you deal with stress that isn't drinking? Moving your body sleeping, eating well, all of those things are going to be so much more beneficial for you than a glass of wine. So you can go for a run, go for a walk. Anything outside is going to be amazing. Just sitting outside and breathing in some fresh air will help to eliminate your stress levels. Something physical will really help get your body, get rid of those stress hormones in your body. So honestly, screaming into a pillow, punching a pillow, take your whole family outside and have a screaming contest and see who can scream the loudest. I guarantee if you do that for a while, it's going to turn into a laughing fit. A really good cry can help reduce your stress levels too. All of those physical things can be really important to lower those stress hormones. We also need to recognize our emotions and experience them. Being sad, being frustrated, being angry, those are all totally normal emotions. And when you can recognize that you're feeling those emotions and sit with them and experience them and move through them, you're going to come out the other side of them. I promise that you'll move through them. The other thing that this is going to do is teach our kids to do the same thing. So if we're not allowing ourselves to experience anger or sadness or frustration in a healthy way, that means that they're not as well. And giving them good coping mechanisms to recognize the emotions that they're experiencing and help them move through them. When my kids get frustrated or anxious or sad or something, I tell them, you're sad, that's okay. You're allowed to be sad. And I've noticed that since I've been naming their emotions for them and kind of helping recognize them, they move through those emotions so much smoother and faster. They're like, oh, okay, I am sad. All right, great. And then they're over it, right? It's not about shoveling it under the carpet. It's about living with it and experiencing it and moving through it. And those emotions are normal and healthy and need to be addressed. Covering them up with wine is not going to do the trick. If you enjoy a glass of wine, the taste, the feeling, whatever, I know lots of people who love getting together to have a drink with friends. That's totally okay. What I'm suggesting is that you recognize why and when you're going to drink alcohol and use it in a way that's not to relieve stress. So if you are stressed, make sure you feel your emotions, you let them out, you have a healthy way of dealing with them, obviously not taking your emotions out on someone else, but experiencing them, recognizing when you're stressed, recognizing what your triggers are, doing something physical. So go for a run, go for a walk, do some push-ups or jumping jacks or something, and then enjoying that glass of wine. That's a perfectly healthy way to enjoy alcohol. Let me know if you have any questions. Alcohol can be a really tricky topic, and for me to just say deal with your stress in a different way is a big statement. So if you need help kind of navigating this, please reach out. I'm happy to help. I've walked a lot of people through this, and I wish you all the best.